Well, my friend Tim in California sent me a connection for the other day for a video on Operation Market Garden, which was where the parachute regiment lost Arnhem. I thought I knew all about that, but I didn't. It was very interesting. But it put me in mind of an incident that I had when I was in the parachute regiment. And sometimes these things develop a sort of state of farce, don't they? Anyway, in 1955 I was called up as an 18-year-old to do national service. And in those days you could volunteer for the Air Force, the Navy or whatever you liked, but you were going to go to the Argylls, which is what happened. I did my basic training with the Argyll and Sutherland, or Argyll and Suffren Highlanders as they used to call them. And after that I'd volunteered for the parachute regiment, so we all went down and we did what they called a P course. It was designed to break you physically. They told you at the start of the thing that only 50% of you were going to get chosen for the parachute regiment, and that's what happened. Anyway, I got through and we went on parachute training. And this was a complete transformation because parachute training was run at Abingdon near Oxford. And it was run by the RAF. And the RAF rations were really very good in comparison to what we'd been having in the army. And so the parachute training went on all right. You got exits and, an our sergeant in charge, he had, I forget how many men, probably about 12. But anyway, it was Sergeant Gavin was his name. I don't suppose he'd mind if I told him that's the story now. But anyway, so we got through the parachute training and it came to the day for the first jump. And the first jump is from a balloon and 5 recruits go up plus the sergeant. And before we went up we were given the order in which we were going. The first man out was a guy called Bird, a Brummie called Bird. Big strapping guy. And the second one was a guy, the sergeant always called him Doherty. I mean, in my experience we'd have called him Doherty, but he came from the Irish Republic. They could still join the British armies. Maybe they still do, I don't know. But anyway, and I was number 3. I can't remember the other 2 guys. So we went up in the balloon and it was a January day. It was calm and frosty and you could hear absolutely bloody everything. What they said in the ground, and you were given instructions that somebody on the ground would shout at you as you were coming down, pull your knees together and all the rest of it. So we got up to 800 feet and the sergeant said, "Right, Bird, stand in the door, go!" And Bird shot out. It says, "Doherty, stand in the door." Doherty stood in the door. The sergeant shouted, "Go!" And Doherty never moved. And the sergeant said, "What's the matter, Doherty?" And he says, "I can't fucking go, Sergeant." He says, "Wait, come back a minute. I'm going to give you one more chance." He says, "Doherty, stand in the door." And he stood in the door and the sergeant raised his foot and went, "Whoa!" And after he shot with a terrible scream, oh dear, I was next. I wasn't going to get kicked out the door, so I jumped. But it was never mentioned, and Doherty got through the parachute course. He joined the parachute regiment along with me. So that was but it always struck me, you know, it was never mentioned because the sergeant definitely wasn't supposed to kick the guy out the door. But there you are.